I'm Katrina, and this is So and Tare, and we are making some yummy stuff today in the freeze dryer. We're harvesting our Nectar peach, not all of it because that's a lot. We're doing several versions, several times of this, and we're going to puree it and then put it in the freezer and the freeze dryer. Here we go. I'm popping in here with a note that I'm going to be participating in the Every Bit Counts challenge. And so watch for those. I'm going to incorporate that into my weekend reviews, which come out on Mondays. So keep your eye out for that. So we've been picking this Nectar peach from down here, but in order to pick the other part, it's all bent over. We all got to go up on the roof. Well guys, there's all the peaches on top of the roof. Guess it's easy to pick from up here. We're on top of the garage and this mass is all from one tree. It's our Nectar peach. We're gonna get to picking. Now we'll be juicing these, so it's okay if they're a little firm or a little soft. I'm thinking about picking all of them. Maybe if I find some really hard ones, I won't pick them, but it's a very productive tree. Very productive. When we've been feeding the rabbits at nighttime, I've been seeing and hearing a possum that we have in the yard. And I've been hearing him up here too. So just for reference, this is the tree that shades the raccoon house. And yeah, that's where the chickens are and some rabbits are. You can see how sunburned some of these leaves are. That's just pure sunburn. It's been hot. There's some that are bruised here. I'm going to set those aside. We are juicing them, so a little bit of bruise doesn't matter. We can cut that out. And I do want those to be dealt with first, so we'll put them in a different bucket. And these have already fallen off the tree. I guess that's a good thing. It doesn't fall very far. Amazingly enough, some of these are not ready yet. I thought they were all going to be ready. I am picking some of these a little early, and I think that's completely fine. If we don't get to them, they can ripen, but I think they'll be completely fine for what we're using them for. I want to pick before it gets super hot, because I'm not going to want to be up here when it's super hot. This one grew up between two branches. How you get the stripes. Those are where branches were. This one's a perfect one. Whenever you find a peach, that's just perfect when you're harvesting, you have to eat it. It's the rule. Wipe some of the fuzz off. So good, guys. It's a white peach. But look at that. It has some rosy in there. I don't think I've had this color off of this before. This is a really good peach, guys. It's getting dark and my camera's not focusing well, so I'm going to shut off the camera. I'll show you guys what we get tonight. We have already been harvesting off this tree for quite some time, and this is the first harvest from up on the roof. I'm leaving you in the capable hands of Manuel to talk about peeling peaches and making peach, what is it called?
Nectar.
Well, making peach nectar, making peach puree.
Puree or nectar is the same?
Not really. Go ahead.
First thing I do is I get the peaches that are easier to peel. I peel them off. Once I got them all peeled, I either cut it with the knife or with my fingers. Sometimes it's very soft to just do it with the fingers, so I do that. And when I have a whole bunch of peaches, I start squeezing them to make the puree. That way I don't have a big bulky pan of peaches, so that way I can have more. I have almost a bucket of peaches here because they're being squeezed. If I just cut them and just leave them, they will make a big pile like this. But since they're being squished and almost being juiced, then they get much more compacted. And as soon as we blend it with the blender, with the immersion blender, then it'll get a little bit lower because it gets almost like a smoothie, or pretty much like a smoothie. So that will make it nice and smooth and ready for the freeze dryer. Once I do that, I rinse my hand on a water container that I have next to me, so I can rinse my hands whenever I need it. So then I continue, peel, and then deposit. When I'm doing the peaches, what I try to do is focus on the bigger ones, because the bigger ones are usually more ripe, they're softer, and they go faster. So that way I can get more done sooner in less amount of time, and the little ones are usually more firm because they're not as ripe. So they won't go bad as soon. So that way we don't lose so many peaches, because we have a bucket over there full of peaches that went already bad. So I need to focus on the ones that are softer. And since I cannot use my finger, I have to keep pushing it back. And by doing that, I get my fingers really tired. And I do some test tasting because some of them are going bad. So you have to find out if they taste good enough to put them in when they look like they're going bad. Otherwise, they don't they don't mess with the rest, with the batch, once you already got it in. Because if you put one that it tastes pretty bad, then it'll make everything taste bad or not as good as it should.
So this bowl is so huge that it's hard to use the immersion blender in it, so transferred the partially done puree into a container and then is blending and continuing to blend in other portions from that bowl. So this is the peach puree. It's oxidized on top just because it's been in the refrigerator. And we are going to put it onto a tray. I just did peaches, so I'm not going to wash this, but if you did something else, you would wash it. But I'm going to put this onto a tray and put it into the freezer. So you can see the part that's not oxidized there. Okay, so the rest of this I'm going to put in once it's already in the freezer. Can you open it? Alright, so this freezer has some other stuff in it, just ignore that. But what I'm doing is just topping this off. So I got these little brackets from Harvest Supplies, which is the Retired at 40 guy. So these actually make it stackable, so you just clip it on to the corners. It goes on really easy, and then you can stack them. So the problem with doing this, pouring it into the freezer, is that I don't have much room on top to pour in. And luckily it is something that is thick, and so it's less hard to spill. Again, I'm balancing on the back of the chair just because it does get awkward a little bit once it gets more stuff in it, but it is thick enough that I can do this. This just sets right on top. And there's some space between it. So we can have 5 trays in here whilst we have things in the freeze dryer, and that's what's happening right now. Is right now we have a bunch of fruit in the freeze dryer, and then this is all peach puree, and that will freeze overnight. When this is done, we can defrost, get that out, get it packaged up, and then immediately put this in. So that will save energy because this is already cold and already good going, and then the freeze dryer won't have to work as hard because it won't have to freeze it from the beginning. So there we go. Alright, it's a little dark in here, sorry for that, but we're going to take out the peach puree and put it into the freeze dryer. You can see these are frozen and good to go. These hold up really, really well. Alright, one more. Slides right in. Close it up. We're gonna close the drain. And continue. And it's freezing. It'll go through the freezing. It'll pull all the moisture out to the sides of the barrel in here, and then once that's done, it will start to heat up a little bit. The heat function is on top of each of these little cubbies, and so what that does is it immediately pulls out the moisture from, because the vacuum's on, it's vacuum plus a little heat, and that pulls out the moisture and then sends it to the edges of the the dryer. So, and that will say drying up on the little display. All right. All right, our freeze dryer is done. We're gonna open the valve, making sure it's not in the water, not in the bucket. Once it releases pressure, we'll be able to open it up and see what we have. So here is how it turns out. You hear it sounds like Rice Krispies. So there we go. Ordinarily we would weigh this and do it again, but I think it's gonna powder, so I'm gonna just powder it and see if it'll powder. If it doesn't powder, we'll have to do it again. I don't know if it's the right way to do it or not. There you go. And it is powdery, but it is coming up. Alright. So you want the silicone to be on the bottom here. And what I've found is that you really do want to powder this with your hand as much as you can. Just crunch it in, because it's just going to work a whole lot better. Then once it's in there and we're processing it, it will just process better. Plus you can fit more in there when it's going. But look at that. And that probably would be good enough, but since I'm doing this for long-term storage and because I am ending up with a powder that I can make into a drink mix, I am going to actually powder it. Alright, so this is one large size tray, and the large size tray fits 2 quarts on here. So that's about 2 quarts. Let's see what it makes when we powderize it. You can give it a little shake. You let that settle a little bit. A little bit of peach aerosol. Now I'm going to, our last time through this, we put all 5 trays into one bag. It does fit, but that's going to be a lot to open. So this time I'm just going to do 1 bag per tray. I wish I had smaller bags. I kind of thought maybe I should cut this in half, but we'll just use them. Peach puree. We call this Nectar. Peach puree. Powdered. I do want to get the gusseted bags. I think that would work better. But this works for now. So that went down a lot, didn't it? It goes in the big funnel. Still have more powder in there. Just gonna kind of loosen it up a little bit. And there we go. Alright. So this only fills it up to about here, but I'm going to wait on the pouches, I'm going to wait on the oxygen absorbers until this is done. But it smells good. But I am just going to kind of fold this over and set it to the side. So we're just going to continue to do these for the rest of them, and I'll come back when we put the oxygen absorbers in and have it ready for the sealing. We are back, and I want to show you what 1 quart of pureed peaches looks like. It looks like that. That's 1 quart. So that is something I'll be experimenting with, seeing how much I want in a drink or how much I want to make a sauce. So this is kind of like the one we're keeping out. I'm not going to put an oxygen absorber in it or anything. Is good enough for right now. The other ones I'm putting oxygen absorbers in and sealing them up and putting them in a tote for long-term storage. So here is that process. Here is the heat sealer that came with the unit. Alright, we will add these to our collection of freeze-dried food. I keep it in a little tote, well, a big tote actually. So far. Alright, so we have 9 quarts is what this is. And this is 1 quart that I have out for experimentation. And we will show you that tomorrow morning for breakfast. Good morning. It is time to try our peach powder. So I have a jar here. Put some water in it. Alright, we have a jar of water. We have our bag of powdered peaches. I think I'm going to try 2 spoonfuls. So that whole bag is 1 quart of pureed peaches. And so what I'm making is trying to make a peach juice, and that'll be a little bit less thick than the puree. So it's going to go longer. It's going to go further. Looks like there's some little bit chunks there. Probably should use a whisk. It's okay, I'm using a spoon. So I'm just going to stir this for a few minutes and see if that will rehydrate a little more. It looks like it's mostly rehydrated, but there's a few chunks in there. I've been stirring this for probably 1.5 minutes, something like that, and that is thick. Look at that, you can't even see my hand behind it. It's thick. It smells good. It smells like peach juice. Let's give it a taste. That is good stuff. Guys, this is a winner. This is a winner. I would say that you could even go just 1 spoonful in this. This is a pint jar. You could do 1 spoonful, and if you had ice, it would pour over that, and then that would be really, really good, just as a light flavor. This is a really good flavor. It's definitely not as thick as the nectar that we have, but it is also really good. So, for the win. Alright. This is the purpose of it. We can also make peach sauce or peach, like applesauce, peach sauce. We can also reconstitute it that way. Let's, I don't know that I want to try that right now, but we can do that, and then this is the way that I intend to use it mostly. So, thank you for watching, and freeze dry some peaches, guys. Fruit powders. Fruit powders are awesome. So we can make, what can you do for fruit powders? You can make juice, you can make you know, thick or thin or anything. You can make syrup from that, you can make jam from that, you can make anything that you make from juice, you can make from this. It's just stored. And then you can make like applesauce type things, you can make peach sauce. You can add it to breads, add it to desserts. You can add it to desserts without adding the moisture, which will definitely bump up the flavor. You can add it to anything. Add it to barbecue sauces or as a rub on a meat. That would be good. All right. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Freeze dry some peaches. Share it around and like and subscribe. We'll see you next time. Have a good day.